Hey everybody, welcome back to the Codex Station Comic Character of the Week. How's everybody doing today? I am Sal the Slab Guy, and we're going to be covering tonight Iron Man, Tony Stark. But first, let's knock out some stuff here. You can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner, or on Instagram as Slab Guy 77. Thank you, Dan. And down below, I've got Dan the Man Kelly. Dan, where can they find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. I post art, music, and writing there a few days a week. Stuff like this fantastic Iron Man sketch card that I did.
Nice.
So go check it out. Give me a follow and some likes. And then beside me, we got this guy that's got something going on too.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Archduke Kelly from Comic Character of the Day on Facebook and on Instagram. We'd love to have you come over, check us out. Join the family. Thank you, Dan, and contribute to all of this comic book geekery that we are all here for and love with all of our hearts. Thank you. See you soon. And Jamie, what's up, brother?
You guys know what I'm about to say. Go check out thecodexstation.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything Codex. Get some merch, meet the team, let us know what you like, don't like, and find all of our socials listed down at the bottom so you have no reason or excuse to miss out on any of the content that we're providing for you. We have a lot of shows now. You have every outlet you can possibly dream of. And we also do now have our Patreon. Guys, for just a cheap cup of coffee, you can help support the little show that could and get us going with a bunch of different offers and tiers that we could put up for you. All you gotta do is scan that little QR code right there in the corner that just popped up, and it'll take you straight to our Patreon.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Go check it out, folks. There's a lot of good stuff with that. All right, so today, like I said, we are doing Iron Man, Tony Stark. So, Dan, why don't you give us the info on good old Tony Stark?
All right, so he first appeared all the way back in March 1963 in Tales of Suspense number 39, created by Stan Lee, his brother Larry Lieber, Don Heck, and Jack Kirby. Tony Stark was basically an inventor and an arms dealer. He survived a booby trap that injured him. He was taken prisoner. He was ordered to build weapons alongside of fellow captive Ho Yinsen, and together they ended up building what was the initial prototype Iron Man armor that Tony used to escape, though his cellmate, if you will, was killed during that. And he had a magnetic chest plate that they built as the main part of the armor that was used to keep the shrapnel that was embedded in his chest from going into his heart, the shrapnel that he got from the bomb that went off, and kept it from killing him. Initially, his origin was part of the Vietnam War, and then over the years has been updated to something in the Middle East to keep the character more current. As far as his powers, it's the armor where it's the same basic kind of powers that it gives him: the flight, the super strength, invulnerability, the weapons that are built in. He's kind of known for the repulsor rays that shoots out of his hand and out of the chest.
Unibeam.
Yeah, the Unibeam. But he's constantly updating the armor and adding features to it, so it's really hard to narrow down an exact power set for him because it's always changing to the point at one point he had roller skates that came out of the armor.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that was groovy.
At one point, the armor had a nose in it. So the armor is always being updated. It's always evolving, which, so it always has those same basic powers, but there could always be something else as part of it.
All right.
Very cool. All right. Thank you, Dan. That was pretty awesome.
Sweet.
But now, before we jump into it, we want to talk about our sponsor, and our sponsor is Dubby Energy. Dubby Energy drink is a great, clean form of energy drink. There's no jitters and no bad aftertaste. A lot of the guys on the team have already had it. It's everybody loves it. It's good stuff to have. So go check them out at WGG, and you can save 10% on your order by using the keyword codex. That's COD-X, and save 10%. So go check them out.
Yes, and they did just release their new flavor, which is Calio Cream, more like a creamsicle flavor. I know I could speak for most of the team when I do say that it is probably the best energy drink we've had out there and that is on the market. Yeah, raves all the way around, especially when Sal gets it at 9.8.
Hell yeah.
And I just got my
9.8.
first order in today, so I'll be drinking that tomorrow morning.
Nice.
Awesome.
Wait, you got the sample packet?
Yes. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'll be trying that tomorrow morning on the way
You gotta
to work.
give us your ranking on the two, man, because me and Sal
Yeah.
did, and what do you call
You'll
it?
love it.
I still love the Peach and Beach.
I think I'm going to try the peach one first.
Yeah. Peach was good. I'm liking the fruit punch one. So
I will let you know on I will let Tim know, or whoever's doing the show on Saturday.
okay. Give us your rating then.
Hmm.
Okay. So you guys know the deal. You've probably seen this show before. We're going to go over all aspects of this character, what we like, what we don't like, the cool covers, the cool stories.
Mhm.
But we're going to start off right now with what works best with this cover. What works best with this character. All right. So Kevin, why don't you go ahead and kick us off on that and tell us what you think works best.
All right. So for me, one of the way that I find him the most interesting is actually this is more prevalent from the movies, I admit, than from the actual comic
That's all right.
books. But
That's all right.
I love it when he gets it in his head, the science of something, and he doesn't think it through well enough to figure, just because I can do something doesn't mean I should do that thing. So he gets it in his head, and he has to see it through without thinking it through the rest of the way to see the potential consequences of the practical application of that science. And I find that very interesting and very humanizing for the character. I can absolutely see somebody that smart being stuck with thinking about A and not seeing the consequence of adding B and coming up with C. I think that's a very interesting way where they portray him. For instance, in the movies, not in the comics, the consequences of this, and this led to Ultron. And so I think that's a very interesting way when they write him that way. I think that's great. I love it when they portray him that way.
Well, there was an example of that in that MODOK series that, plugging the old MODOK episode we did, where he had to team up with MODOK because there was something he invented that got stolen. And he's like, why would they want to steal this? It's used for this. And MODOK goes, oh, yeah, well, you can do this other stuff with it. He's like, oh, I never intended that. And they're like, yeah, but this is what you can do with it.
Right. I love it when that's great.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
That's a
How
good
about
one.
you, Jamie?
So my biggest thing with Iron Man is we've had characters in the past where we sat there and said that they did get enough of the spotlight, that they deserve their own solo series, this and that. I gotta turn that around here. I think that Iron Man is a team member and a team member only. I think that's where he works best. I think when he's alone having that Jimmy Neutron thought process, like, got a blast. It just doesn't work as a solo part. I don't feel like he has, and I'm speaking relatively newer, more modern day. He's just not the one to lead the charge for a solo series, in my opinion. When he's working with a team, you see more of the thought process, scaling out what needs to be done, how he needs to do it. His strategy is always on par. He's top notch when he's on a team. When he's by himself, it's just, to me, they don't hit that point ever. Like, and when they do bring someone on, another character or whatever it may be, for like a team up in his solo book, it's the best part of the solo book to me. Like, there's no other way. When he's by himself, I just can't. I personally can't take it.
Okay,
right.
Interesting.
All right. Well, it's good that I'm going next because I'm gonna actually 100% disagree with you.
Oh,
I think he actually does work best as more solo, and it's for the exact reasons you just mentioned that he doesn't. I think when he's, and this kind of mixes with what Kevin said as well. when he's alone, he's inventing or creating. He's not thinking about anything else. He doesn't have Cap talking in his ear saying, "Oh, you probably shouldn't do this because," and he's just going to town. He's got ambition, which is like second to none. He could create things on the fly as he needs it type situation. He does not work well with authority or any type of military or whatsoever. He's definitely a solo type of person. He's a little bit self-absorbed, which is kind of works for his character. In the very beginning, Iron Man was a bunch of womanizer and a drunk and a lot of those type of characteristics. But they evolved him out of that, which is great, and made some great stories, which you'll hear later. But I love the fact that when he's inventing and creating, because he knows he can do better. Like, he had something that worked, but he's like, yeah, that was trash. I got something that's 10 times better than that. All I have to do is just whip it up. And I also like his use of the LMDs, life vital decoys. They are everywhere. They're like Doom bots. They have them everywhere, and I love that. So, Dan, what do you think? What do you got? What works best for you?
One thing I like that none of you mentioned is I like when he has to deal with situations that are out of his element, because he's very scientific and he's very tech-based. But when he's put in something like where he has to deal with magic or he has to deal with something that's not that, it's always interesting for him to find a way to use technology to deal with something that is not technology-based at all. But I also, one thing I think is a strength of the character is also something that is something that I'll revisit later with a criticism of the character, which is he always seems to kind of want to be somewhat of a contrarian with whatever the other characters are. And I think that is because in the comics, he talks about how he's a futurist. So, futurists are always thinking about like what Kevin was saying, not necessarily should I do this, it's can I do this, and doing it and thinking about the next thing to invent and the next thing, to evolve with that. But he has this arrogance about him too, that I can do this. So, I'm right to do it because I can do it. He's very similar, in some aspects to Dr. Doom in that way, which is, I'm smarter than everyone else, and therefore I should be able to do what I want to do because I'm smarter than everyone else. And it's a strength, but it can also be a weakness too.
Very sure.
It's what makes him an interesting character.
Yep.
When you said,
oh, did you freeze?
Yeah, I think we lost Kev.
Kevin's no Tony Stark. We're having some technical difficulties with Kevin tonight.
Yes,
he is not using Stark Industries tech. He is using Roxxon technology.
Or he's using what was I thinking? Not Roxxon. It's
Hammer, Justin Hammer.
Yeah, Justin Hammer. Yeah, Justin Hammer. Blanked on his name there. Hammer Tech. All right. Well, let's just go ahead. We'll entertain his question when he comes back online.
Yeah, I just messaged him, so he knows.
Okay. So cool points, Dan. All right, very good. I love it. And now we're going to move on to some badass moments. Dan, I want you to go ahead and kick that off.
All right. Well, the first one I got is from his very first appearance in Tales of Suspense number 39. He survives this booby trap where he has shrapnel embedded in his chest, in his heart, that's getting ready to kill him, and is thrown in a cave with this other captive and told build weapons for these people. And he takes that and with his fellow captor, not only builds a chest plate, a magnetic chest plate to keep the shrapnel from getting into his heart to kill him, but builds the suit of armor which he uses to escape and then become one of the preeminent superheroes and a founding Avenger. I mean, that's pretty badass in and of itself. As as far as origins go, it's not a lot of origins are kind of something that happens to the character and then they get the powers. With him, it's something that happened to him that necessitated him building something to then give him the powers and then make him the superhero. So you don't really see that a lot in characters. So for me, that's one. Another one is more recent in Invincible Iron Man #1, the one where they have Ironheart on the cover.
Oh, okay.
Is when it looked like he was going to die, where he backed up his own mind so that he could essentially cheat death. I mean, who does that? You know,
Yeah, and he's the new AI.
Yeah, like he makes himself AI, and then you kind of, it's almost like he looks at it like there's no real difference between technology and humanity, that humanity is just a less evolved version of technology. And that kind of goes into the the futurist aspect of the character, where it's I can advance everything. And then the last one I picked is not from the comics, it's from the movies, because while Iron Man was always a staple Marvel character, he didn't blow up in popularity until the MCU, until Robert Downey Jr. played him. So I got to go with the scene at the end of Avengers Endgame when he steals the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos, and he's just there, and he's, and Thanos says, "I am inevitable," and he goes, and he does the callback to the first Iron Man movie where he goes, "I am Iron Man," snaps, wipes out Thanos and all of his army, saves the world and everything. Of course, it killed him, but I mean, but I mean, that's
that was part of the comic too. He did have the gauntlet for a time.
Yeah. But like in the comic, they made the gauntlet and the Infinity Gems different in the comics, where like in the movies they made it where if you're immortal you can't possess a gem or it'll destroy you. It was different in the books, but I mean, like I said, with his popularity blowing up because of the movies, I felt like I kind of had to have something in there to to represent that.
Cool.
What about you, Jamie? What are your 3 moments you got?
Okay, so
there we go.
Top 3 moments. 2 of them are from Civil Wars. I got the first one, which is his fight with Cap. The whole scheme, everything throughout it was just perfection. Like, to me, like that's the way you need to go down if you're fighting, one of your allies. I just thought that one stood out the test of time. I mean, there's a movie about it, so might as well go that route. The second one was his actual fight with Captain Marvel, where there was a moment before the fight and they're sitting there and they're talking about their sobriety, and they're in the midst of battle. Sides have been chosen. They're ready basically just to throw down. That's all they got to do. But they're sitting on a curb and they're talking about, well, I've been sober X amount of years now. I've been doing good. I really would like a drink right now because I don't feel like what we're about to do is going to have ramifications throughout the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And then Captain Marvel proceeded to blow a hole through his chest.
Isn't that the first Civil War or the second one?
That's the second Civil War.
Isn't Captain Marvel, I think she's Tony's sponsor, or the other way around?
Yeah, it went that way, but they were both talking, sitting there, like basically being like, I've been sober, but this is going to be one of those ones that you might need a drink afterwards.
Right.
And I thought that correlation of sitting there, it's like that somber peacefulness before the storm.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that was the most badass thing you could ever see.
That's
even though Civil War 2 didn't do as great, but still there. And my last pick is Tony turning a Celestial into the new Avengers headquarters. That fight in the first arc of Avengers that I thought was going to make Avengers amazing, that was just pure greatness. And then he just goes and he's like, we can make this the new headquarters. And there's a Celestials literally sitting in ice as their headquarters now.
I wonder if they'll do that in the MCU, since they have the Celestial like half sitting out.
And no one's talked about it for 8 movies.
No one's talked about it.
Yeah.
Yep. Actually,
he's just
the
sitting
movies.
there like this.
It was briefly mentioned in She-Hulk, I think.
Yeah, for a minute.
I
and then,
think that's right. Yeah.
All right, Kevin, why don't you give us your badass moments, and then we'll jump it back to me.
All right, my badass moments. Let's see what I got down here. I got number 3, building when it was the Avengers versus X-Men, building the armor specifically designed to beat the living pants off of Magneto. The fact that Iron Man beat Magneto in combat, I thought was amazing. I thought that was one of the coolest things I've read for that character. Number 2, I got building an armor out of or utilizing the Celestial as the armor. So making that reference, bringing that into. And what do I have right here? In his last run, when he becomes a cosmic entity, and he's battling Cormac, and they're throwing planets at one another. I mean, I thought that was just ridiculous. That Iron Man went next level cosmic. It was utilizing entire planets as weapons. I thought that was, you can't get more next level than that.
That's so true. That's so true. All right, so I've got 3 badass moments for you guys. First one up, no particular order. First one up is from Fear Itself, number 5. He's there talking, and he's bragging almost, and I forget who he's talking to, but he goes, "You know what I do before a big battle? You're bellowing when I beard you? Because I make weapons. I make really great weapons like that." And it was just classic. I thought it came off really well. The next one I have is from the Axis series, the evil version of Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
This is when the whole thing with Axis, their personalities were flipped. He's like, I'm the most intelligent, capable person on the planet. I'm not playing God. All this time I've been playing human. So he just assumes he's like that God level when he has all that mentality, or he has no filter or no moral boundaries. He's just goes that way.
That's like, wasn't the Alec Baldwin movie where he was the surgeon and he gave the big speech? He's like, "You want to know where God was? On Friday, September 10th at 9:30 p.m. God was in operating room 52. He's like, you want to ask if I have a God complex? I am God."
Classic.
Yep.
All right, for my last one, I have from Avengers a while ago, from 1998, number 63. He actually hacks into Dr. Doom's computer, and he pops up on Doom sitting there in his chair. He's in the thing, and he pops up, a huge Iron Man face on the thing. He's like, "Yeah, I just hacked into your system. I just released a nasty virus called Friday, and it's gonna eat every bite of your data." And then he signs off. He goes, "I'll be seeing you anytime I want." And then the screen clicks off. So I thought that was pretty badass there as well. Okay, so that's our badass moments, which is pretty awesome. But now, as always, we got to go into critiques of what makes this character suck or what we hate the most. So I think I will start off on this one. Okay. And for me, what doesn't work is sometimes he gets written to be too arrogant. And I don't like that, because I feel like he just, in a real world situation, this person would never, ever get along with anybody. No one would ever work with him. No one would ever deal with him. Even if to save the world, they'd be like, "No, F that guy. We're not going to, we'll just go on by ourselves." I think it's written too arrogant sometimes, And the other thing I don't like is he's almost like a Batman ripoff to me. He's got too many gadgets and too much money. He's like, "Oh, I've got the perfect device for that. It's right here." That type of thing. And I feel like that's too much of that. So that's what doesn't work for me. So Dan, what do you think? What doesn't work for you?
I agree with the arrogance thing. Like I said, in his strength, it's kind of the same thing. He's got that arrogance about him where I'm smarter than everybody
double-edged sword.
And I can think of this, so I'm gonna do it. And it's like I said, it's really that contrarian kind of thing. Like, oh, all of you guys are going with Cap. Well, this is what I like in Civil War. Well, this is what I'm gonna do.
Right.
And what kind of goes on with that too is he seems to screw up for being a billionaire, genius, philanthropist, whatever. He kind of screws up a lot between the alcoholism and the armor wars and Civil War and all that. And he's generally forgiven pretty quickly for all of that stuff. And they kind of move on where I feel like people hold grudges in real life a lot longer, and
for a lot less.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like, especially the thing with Thor after Civil War when they made the clone.
Yeah.
Thor found out that it killed Bill Foster, and Thor came up and grabbed him by the mask and was saying you don't even know what my power is. You don't do anything like that. and then it's not that much longer where they're just teammates again and everything's
fine.
Yeah, I feel like he gets forgiven too quick when he does these things to kind of screw up. And then like you said, the arrogance too. In real life, nobody would want to be this guy's friend.
Yeah.
Nobody would want to be his teammate.
Yep.
So
I feel like I'm Tony Stark.
Mm.
Well, what about you, Jamie? What do you have as criticisms of him?
My biggest criticism is, and this is why I say I don't like when he's solo, is how replaceable he is. I think that over the years, there have been so many people that have worn the Iron Man moniker that it's kind of getting distasteful. I mean, I have a list literally sitting in front of me of people who have worn the Iron Man armor, and that range goes from James Rhodes, Pepper Potts, Mary Jane, Norman Osborn, Deadpool, Squirrel Girl, the Hulk at one point. Yeah, there's an issue of Squirrel Girl where she hacked or she got into Stark Industries and stole the suit. And was Iron Man for a day.
For a while.
Black Cat, Riri Williams.
Yeah, all those. It doesn't matter how much money you have when you can give someone your power set, basically, or what you're good with. You're replaceable. It's just the same thing like you said earlier, Sal. He's like that Batman with the money. Anyone could be Batman at that point, from a Dick Grayson to a Jason Todd to a Tim Drake, Damian, Alfred dressed up as Batman. Like, it's the same thing with Iron Man, where it's just, but it's more loose base where it's like anybody could wear the armor and just take up the moniker. And I think that's
Batman. You have to have the training to do all that stuff. With Iron Man, everything comes from the armor.
Yeah. And that's it. It's kind of disheartening in the fact that when he is solo and he does get killed off, there's someone that can sit there and replace him. I mean, we had Superior Iron Man, where Doom took over.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right, especially when it's a solo series. Like, that shouldn't be the case of where your character can just be switched in a heartbeat.
That's fair.
That's true. All right, Kevin, what do you got for dislikes?
For me, I would say that I think it gets old when he loses his fortune and his company. And there's like, oh, I have an idea. And then he, gets a patent and gets it all back, and then loses it again and gets it all back and loses it again. He's rich, he's poor, he's rich, he's poor. Yeah. We've explored the whole what Iron Man does when he doesn't have money. We've explored that. We can leave that behind and not have to fall upon that old trope again about like, oh, he lost his fortune again. What's he gonna do? Been there, done that. Let's leave that one as something already explored and not have to revisit that anymore. That gets old and annoying pretty quick for me.
Okay. All right. Those are some good points, guys. Good points indeed. So now up next is my favorite topic, top covers. And I want Kevin to kick this one off.
All right. Let's see what I got for the top covers.
I feel like Kevin hits a randomized button before he starts every episode. And he's like, because I never feel like you know what your covers are.
I do. I know exactly what my covers are. I have the Demon in the Bottle issue, number Iron Man number 128.
Right
I
there
think that's
wall, baby.
Such iconic picture of him dealing with his demons. I love this one. The all new Iron Man, number 174. It's him flying with all of the armors that he's had over the years. Very much reminiscent to the scene in Iron Man 3 where he's summoning all the armors to do
which was cool.
Combat.
I did like that part.
And the last one I have is, oh boy, I'm sorry, I don't actually have the cover number on this one, but it's the one where he's with wearing the armor, but he doesn't have the helmet on, and he's staring at the helmet, and it's very alas, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio, Shakespearean moment, and he's a very rare moment for Tony Stark where he's actually contemplating and being introspective for a moment. Whether or not it for me, it's kind of screams he's actually taking a minute to think about his own actions for a rare moment. So that one is just such a poignant cover that it really draws you in.
Okay. Those are cool covers. Jamie, why don't you go next? Give us your cool covers.
All right. So to start off, I have Iron Man 182. This is the Deliverance issue where it has him sitting by basically like a tombstone. Basically stating like either he's going to figure this out or Iron Man's dead. For my second one, I've got Iron Man Volume 2, Issue 1. This is, to me, what Iron Man's all about. It's the photo of him flying over the city and coming straight at you, like almost out of the comic. There was 2 actual covers at that time. They had your normal cover, and then they had I can't think of the words, like the holographic cover. What word am I looking for here? The lenticular cover, where when you moved it, he has actually popped out. And then Invincible Iron Man number 599, the one right before 600. The one where he's sitting there and he's got a smirk on his face and his hood's up, and that's it. And that just shows the arrogance of what Iron Man is all about. He's just like,
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
I have to agree 100% with 2 of those covers. Dan, what do you got for top covers?
I'll start out. I've got Iron Man 126. It's a play on the first appearance of Iron Man, where you see, where you got the main figure there, and then you've got the stuff on the side where he's kind of suiting up, but it's the classic red and yellow armor, red and golden armor that everybody is used to, which for me pushes it a little bit above the first appearance armor. So I got that one. And then, like Kevin, I've got Iron Man 128, the Demon in the Bottle, which you have on the wall behind you. I mean, that is just such an iconic, classic, not just storyline, but such an iconic classic cover. And you don't really see heroes like that, where they're showing with that kind of major flaw like alcoholism, and like showing it right there on the cover, like, he's got this desperate look in his eye, and I mean, it just stands out. It's just probably my favorite Iron Man cover, period. It's just so great. And then I've got Iron Man 600, the Alex Ross cover. Because, I mean, well, it's not,
why don't you just bring them all down, Sal? It'd be easier.
Well, it's not the it's not that one. Then that one's pretty good. But the one where Alex Ross did it, and he's just. It's just, I don't have anything to say about it other than it's just spectacular. Alex Ross really does a good job with the way that he does Iron Man, and the way that he makes the metal in the armor actually look like metal, as opposed to just, a superhero suit that he's wearing.
Fair.
Yep,
so what about you, Sal? Which ones do you got?
Well, we got to start off with the duplicates here. I also have Iron Man number 128. It says he's sitting there in the morning. Tony Stark will be sober, or he'll be dead. And he's
182.
Yep, 182. And he's kind of like just sitting there, and this is the after effects of the alcoholism. So he's going through all the withdrawals, and this is one of those turn point issues where he has to make it through the night type of situation. Very, very stark cover. Very
Jamie's
profound. I want to say what Jamie said to it. So
Jamie's
I won't
been
go
there.
much more. My next cover is, of course, Iron Man number 599. He's flipped up the helmet. He's sitting there and he's saying, "Did you miss me?" Yeah, that type of thing. Gives you the classic arrogance of him. So I won't say more than that because Jamie also had that one. So my last one, of course, is one of my slabs. It is Iron Man number 1. He's there flying, and he has all these missiles flying at him, and he's just kind of looks like he's maneuvering through them all. Just a badass cover to begin with.
Awesome.
All right. So cool. That was some good covers, guys. But you
Great
know where you
covers
can
all
get
around.
really good covers. What's that?
I said great covers all around.
Yeah, definitely. But you know where you can get really good covers and really good books? You got to go to Heroscornercomics. Go to Heroscornercomics.com. You can get store exclusive books. You can get slabs. You can get back issues. You can even set up a pull list with them and get issues that way as well. And if you shop online, if you do their go through their website, you can use the keyword codex. That's CODEX, no hyphen, and you can save 20% on an order. Plus, they have a Heroes Corner Comics store exclusive ones for codex. So that's 3 store exclusive books for $30. And yes, the coupon code will work with them too. So you must check them out. They're also on Facebook under Heroes Corner Comics Insiders. So check them out.
Yeah, definitely love for everyone over there. Kathy, Louie, you guys do an amazing job.
Great.
If y'all want to see how well they package, go watch one of Sal's 30-minute packaging videos. If you want the nitty gritty, look at what we've done so far for them. They have been nothing but great to us and to all their other loyal customers as well. So go check them out. It is worth it.
Yes, those guys are wonderful. Their customer service is second to none that I've ever experienced.
I'll message Louie right now about something. He'll get back to me within the next 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know what? Just follow Louie on Facebook. He's a funny guy too. He puts up some pretty funny posts.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. He does. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. He is.
All right. So now we got to go down to the next segment here, which is essential readings for this character. So these are stories that we feel that you've got to read to know the character as best as possible. So, Dan, you want to kick us off with this one?
Sure. So the first one I have is the classic. We used it as some of our cover picks, is Demon in the Bottle from Iron Man Volume 1, 120 to 128. I mean, for me, this is one of the quintessential Iron Man stories. It is something that even still today, decades later, is a core. His alcoholism is a core part of the character, and I'm kind of disappointed we never got this story in the MCU. I felt like with Iron Man 1 and 2 that Jon Favreau was building up to doing this with Iron Man 3, but when he stepped away, they didn't do it. But yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, one of the quintessential stories.
Did you see the deleted scene in that for that Iron Man 1? In the Iron Man 1 movie, there's a deleted scene where he's actually in the chair drinking some alcohol, or drinking like his armor's all messed up, and that's when Pepper walks in on him. And so in the movie, Pepper walks in on him. He's in the machine trying to get the armor off. In this scene, he's actually sitting in a chair. He's just drinking some alcohol. The armor's all shot up, and he's like, "Are you gonna stand there? Or are you gonna help me get out of this thing?" You know, that type of thing.
Nice. But yeah. I mean, like I said, to me, that's the one of the quintessential parts of the character. The other one I've got is Armor Wars, which is from Iron Man Volume 1, 225 to 232, which we're getting the Disney Plus show that will be, since Iron Man is not actually a part of it, I assume will be, and most of the characters that were part of the story have not been introduced in the MCU, will be that this will be very loosely based on it. But the essential part of it is that Tony finds that the technology from his Iron Man suits has gotten leaked, and a bunch of different armored characters around the Marvel Universe have been using Stark technology in their suits. So he goes out and decides he's going to take them all out, and he's going to get his technology back, which is great when it comes to characters like Crimson Dynamo or Titanium Man, the bad guys. Not so great when it comes to characters like the Guardsmen, who, if you don't know, are the prison guards for this maximum security supervillain jail that Marvel has, and they all wear suits, Iron Man-like suits of armor, but he's found that they have some of the Stark technology in them, so he goes after them too. He runs afoul of some of the other Marvel characters, some of the other heroes, and like I said, it's just a quintessential storyline. Then the last one I have is Extremis from Iron Man Volume 4, number 1 through 6. It was Warren Ellis that wrote it, and is it Andy Granov or Ari Granov that drew it?
Ari, I think it's Ari.
Yeah, but it was something that they eventually did in Iron Man 3, where they introduced the Extremis, and then had it later on after that where he incorporated it into himself to kind of make the suit part of him. And that was the standard after they did that storyline. That was the standard for a long time for him, where it wasn't just, okay, I'm a guy that puts on a suit of armor, where it made it where he actually made the armor a part of him.
He stored the armor in the in the marrow of his bones.
Yeah, exactly. So like what Jamie's criticism of before was, anybody could put on the suit and be Iron Man. This kind of turned the tables on that. Like, okay, the suit is in him, and he just calls the suit out to be part of him, which, you know, was a really interesting dynamic. Like, okay, anybody could put on a suit of armor, but they can't do this to it. And like I said, that was his status quo for a long time after that. So those are the three I got: Demon in the Bottle, Armor Wars, and Extremis.
All right, Kevin, what you got?
All right, for a little different take, I'm going to go with Demon in a Bottle, Armor Wars, and Extremis. So I hate going after Dan. He always gets exactly that. He and I are so similar with our tastes. Right, absolutely. Demon in the Bottle set up Iron Man for being a good chunk of who he is. It was the first time I think that we've seen the fallibility of Tony Stark. Like he needed a little bit of humanity, and I think the Demon in the Bottle storyline gave it to him. And I like the fact that we have these characters that people can relate to that have these problems. And it's like, oh, superhero comic book crap never actually deals with real life problems. There's been a few, and I love the fact that they use Iron Man, Tony Stark, any character, but this one really fit as far as his arrogance was so that I can do no wrong. And then they show him doing significantly wrong, which I thought was a very, very cool take on that.
It's a genuine human flaw that you don't see in a lot of characters, or didn't at the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Armor Wars I thought was great because it was him on a holy mission and nothing was going to stand in his way. I'm not sure if this was the first time that he and Cap kind of got into a disagreement confrontation, but it was one of the first times that we've seen them definitely you're not in the right here, and him going over to a character that I think is underrated, Stingray, and he had this device that he was using to short out and fry the circuits of all the armors that utilized his technology, and he did it for Stingray, and it didn't work. And he's like, it took him a minute, what am I doing? So, it was a moment. It was a storyline that actually had him at his most. I'm going to do absolutely everything that I can, that I have to do in order to fulfill my mission. It was I think the first epic storyline that we've ever had really with Iron Man was tremendous. And Extremis, I think, was the jumping on point for okay, so Iron Man for the longest time just had subtle, small variations of incremental increases in his technology. He had the open eyes, he had the open mouth, he didn't have the heads-up display or the filters or anything. Extremis, I think, was the first major jump that he had in his technological advancement in decades. So I think really the Extremis run was the first real jumping on point to have Iron Man in the current advanced technology that they needed to portray him as having, since way before that. Before that, it was pretty much the roller skates, Tony Stark kind of tech level. So Extremis is the first modern jumping on point, I think. How about you, Jamie?
All right. So I'm just gonna say Armor Wars. I'm not going into detail. Obvious reasons.
Sorry,
but I have Iron Man. Like I said, 182. That I think that issue stands as close as Demon in a Bottle. To me,
agreed.
Just talking about the addiction, showing what it is like to go through it and what could happen to you and everything else. It's one of those books that almost like the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, where my ward is a junkie kind of aspect to it, or the Batman getting rid of the venom out of his system, locking himself in the Batcave. I mean, you don't see much of it. I just gave 2 other instances, but we don't see anything else like that in comics, like as far as that goes. And then for my last one, I got Iron Man, World's Most Wanted. Now, this was a separate book from Civil War. This was him basically explaining what was going on with him trying to make that decision if it was right for the Superhero Registration Act or not, if he could trust everybody to deal with his secret identity. Obviously, in the movie, it didn't really matter because at the end, he's like, I am Iron Man. But in that book, it was basically him going like, I got to make this decision. Is it right or is it wrong while running from everybody?
Didn't he like erase the information about it when Norman Osborn took over?
Yeah.
Was that one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that. So, yeah, those are my 3.
All right. Awesome. Well, not to beat a dead horse, but I've also got Demon in a Bottle as well. Just go ahead and move on from that. I also have 2 others that no one else has mentioned. I've got Iron Man, Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that whole run there where he was actually Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I thought was an excellent run and worthy of a good read. I also have Civil War, the first one. And I like this one because of the contemplations of the Superhero Registration Act. The way it starts off with Speedball, or I think it was Speedball, blowing up like a
Nitro
radius.
Nitro.
The New Warriors that led to Nitro doing it.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. So that's what led up to that. And so I thought that was a pretty good story to start off with.
Yeah.
I have like 7 other honorable mentions, but I won't mention them. We'll just go ahead and move on.
That'll be the after show.
That'll be the after show. So for our next segment, we got Best Artist and Best Writer. Now, this is artist and writer that we feel that when we think of Iron Man, these are the 2 quintessential people that we think of. And Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with that?
With Best Writer, I'm going to have to go with the same writer I went with for Venom a couple episodes ago, Dave Michelini. Demon in a Bottle, Armor Wars, and the fact that they were 2 separate runs. Like he did Demon in the Bottle, left the series, came back, and did Armor Wars. Like usually when you think of the best writer for a character, they might have like one of the iconic storylines, but like I said, for me, for the essential reading, to have 2 of the most iconic stories for a character is pretty big. So I'm going to go with him. And for best artist, there's a few I could think of, like George Perez. Anytime he draws a character, he's up there. But I'm going to have to go with Bob Layton. Like when I think of the classic Iron Man, it's the Bob Layton type of Iron Man that I think of. And I also appreciate that if you follow him on Instagram, his handle, his Instagram name is Comic Legend Bob Layton. That's how he decided to name himself on there. Comic Legend Bob Layton is fantastic. And if you follow him on Facebook, he's always posting new Iron Man pinups and drawings and commissions and stuff that he does, and they're just fantastic. So that's the Iron Man that I think of for him. So what about you, Jamie? Who you got for best writer and best artist?
So for best writer, I have someone that's been underutilized a lot that no one really talks about in the industry, especially on the Marvel side of things. I'm going with Christopher Cantwell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's done a
Good.
great job of rejuvenating the character in all aspects. Especially after everything that happened with King in Black. I think him taking over was just the right decision to make. And reading his work, I think it makes for the best type of Iron Man that we had in a while. It was close though. It was between that and what do you call it? BMB, Brian Michael Bendis. For my artist, I have Stefano Caselli. Did all the work on the whole Brian Michael Bendis run. I thought it was just fantastic. Every slick line, everything popped on that suit, and I thought that was the best way to go about it. It wasn't just one. It didn't look like just one and then add color. Like everything was connected. You seen the plate difference, everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Kevin, why don't you give us yours?
So from a writer, I got Dan Slott. That's just who I go to when I do it. But another one, the mention, Dan mentioned him earlier, was Adi Granov.
Yep.
But also, and I'm going to pronounce his name terribly, but I got to go with honorable mention of, he almost won out, was Salvador La Roca.
Oh, yeah.
The lines, the tech, so great on that, on his armors were always spot on.
All right, Sal, what about you?
Sal?
All right, well, okay, I'm switching up a little bit. I actually have Bob Layton as best writer for me. Even though I did like his artwork and enjoy his artwork, he could probably fill both slots here, but I gave the best artist to George Tuska. Tuska,
Okay.
if I pronounced that right, Tuska?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I went with that. So that's the classic Iron Man for me.
Nice.
All right.
It's good to see everyone's differences.
Yeah. I think any of these artists or authors are worthy of any of these slots. To tell you the truth, I think we just try to pick out ones that we feel that were best for us. So guys, check out Iron Man for yourself, and you can decide for yourself which ones you like the best.
Yeah. Or use some of our opinions here, and use that as your way to go about it.
True. And now for our brand new segment, something we throw in the comic character of the week just recently, trivia question. And since this was Kevy's choice, he gets one trivia question to give to us and see if we can get it.
All right.
Hit us.
So it's pretty easy, but I here we go. Who was the real life inspiration for Tony Stark that Stan Lee mentioned as the one guy he had in mind? I figured Dan would get it. Go ahead.
Yep. Was it Errol Flynn?
No, it was not. I mean, that's the look. That's the look, but not who.
I misunderstood. Never mind. I know who you mean, but yeah.
Anybody?
Give them a chance to answer, but I know.
I was going to say Hugh Hefner.
Yeah.
Nope.
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes. That is correct.
Howard Hughes.
It's Howard Hughes for the character, Errol Flynn for the
look. So, all right, I should have made it a little bit clearer. And
that's all right.
As far as like the real life inspiration for the character, not the look. But yes,
that's a good one though.
Yeah,
that's a good trivia question. Yeah. Good job, man. Awesome.
I do have one more before we go.
What's that?
This isn't a trivia thing. This is an opinion piece. What is everybody's favorite armor that Tony Stark has designed and worn?
Why don't we start with Jamie?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm the one thinking because I'm going through all of it in my head right now.
I will start with Sal.
Yeah.
All right. I actually like the Hulkbuster armor.
Nice.
I'll go with the Hulkbuster. I liked it in the comic, and I liked it even better in the movies.
Fair.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the Iron Spider.
Nice.
That's good. He didn't wear that though, did he? He just designed it.
No, but he made it.
He technically made it, but it stood the test of time. I mean, it's been in movies, it's been in comics, it's been on Mary Jane, it's been on everyone he's loved.
That's fair.
He made it, and he made Spidey wear his colors.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to go. I've always been, since I was a kid, I've always been partial to the Silver Centurion armor. I've always liked that. You know, it looks white in the comics, but like the silver and red, I've always thought that looked really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't know why both Dan and I are on the show, because the Silver Centurion armor is the coolest armor. I grew up with the Silver Centurion. It's the end result of the Armor Wars. It was such an iconic, different look from anything that he's had before. Yep, gotta go with Silver Centurion.
Yeah, because everybody associates him with that red and gold.
Right.
Outside of like the original suit and the Silver Centurion armor, well, I guess he had that black and gold armor for a while, but like it's always that red and gold. But that was like the first real kind of difference.
Yep. So that was good.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you for those trivia questions. We're definitely going to keep that segment and work that into our future characters of the week segments. All right, so I think this wraps it up for Iron Man. Thank you guys for your opinions and your covers and your stories and everything. You guys did great. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Comic character of the week, Tony Stark. We are done. Consider it done. I am Sal the Slab Guy. You can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner, and you can find me on Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. Dan, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. I post a few times a week, so go check it out. Give me a follow. I'm 6 followers away from 600.
Ooh,
and
nice.
when I hit 600, I'm going to do a random drawing and pick someone to get a free commission. So go on, sign up, and could be you. And then we got
but when Dan says a random drawing, he means not a drawing, a random drawing.
To get a random drawing.
The drawing.
Hey, you know what?
They
might not be a drawing. They might pick. They want me to write a song for them. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyways, Kevin, what do you got going on?
Hey guys, I created a group over on Facebook and Instagram called Comic Character of the Day, where we post a different character and all sorts of other goodies every day related to this comic book geekery that we all hold near and dear to our hearts. And we'd love to have you come over, join up, and become part of the family. We'd love to see you. And Jamie, what's up, man? Where can we find you?
You can find me on everything Codex related. So definitely check out the website over at thecodexstation.com, your one-stop shop again for everything Codex. Get some merch, meet the team, let us know what you like, don't like, and much, much more. Remember, all the socials are linked down at the bottom, so you have no excuse not to miss any of the content that we're putting out for you. Find us on all of the socials as well. All you got to do is type in at the Codex Station, and that's where you will find us. And lastly, as always, guys, you never know what anyone's going through out there. And even making someone smile can change the course of their day or life. So always be kind. Trust me, right now, everyone could use it. Yep. So with that being said, I think this is a wrap, and we will see you all in the next one.
Much love. Peace.